Today, Nintendo removed, well, something from Fire Emblem Fates, though we hesitate to call it a feature. This is CheckPoint. Welcome to CheckPoint. XCOM 2 came out last week, and if it is to be believed, then I'm the last person you should put in charge of an international anti-alien mercenary group. Unless you want the human race to die, of course. If that is your goal, I can provide references. The cycle usually works like this. Pirates crack a game, publishers roll out new DRM or anti-piracy technology, the pirates are briefly halted, only to break the new technology and show how useless it is to try and stop them, etc., etc., fight the power. But Chinese cracking forum 3DM, one of the world's biggest PC game piracy groups, is walking away from cracking single-player games. In a statement from the team's leader, they would consider revisiting the decision in a year's time once they have some data on how their lack of piracy affects game sales. So it sounds like nothing more than a social experiment. Except that the last time 3DM released a statement, they were complaining about the de novo anti-piracy tech in Just Cause 3 and how it seemed uncrackable. So this really sounds like 3DM saying, well, we all could crack de novo, we just don't want to, so we're doing a social experiment instead. Okay, sure. It could be argued that game jams are responsible for producing the most unique gaming experiences. It could also be argued that calling everything a simulator is the most irritating naming convention since the fifth game in a series just being called the name of the series again. But related to both of those arguments is a way to settle them. Brofist Simulator. A jam game, Brofist Sim controls just like Surgeon Sim et al., where each finger must be controlled with a different button to make your virtual hand into a fist worthy of bumping. And, just like real life, if you don't close your fingers before brofisting, they'll break off, leaving nothing but a bloody bony stump. Simulator. If you want to make a shitty, money-grabbing, time-gated, premium currency-hungry, free-to-play mobile game, fine, you are allowed to. But when you're Marvel, and you have the Avengers, you shouldn't have to. But we have Avengers Academy, a game where you play as Marvel's Avengers, reimagined as college students, performing deeply mundane tasks around campus. Like other mobile games in the time-wasting genre, you tell someone to do a thing, and then they go and do that thing for like 8 friggin' hours or something, and during that time you can't use that character or the location in which they are farting around. Reviews for the game are not complimentary, with many of the complaints being levied against how aggressively the game demands your money without offering much, if any, gameplay without it. As I said up front, if you want to make a game like this, you're allowed. I'm upset in this case because of the voice talent they got for this game, wasted on a mobile money sink. Alison Brie is playing Black Widow, and John Cena is the voice of the Hulk. Reportedly, he had to slim down for the role. In Fire Emblem Fates, you can build a castle. And in the castle, you have a private quarters. And you can invite NPCs over to your private quarters and just talk. Maybe the game is trying to suggest that you get up to something more than just talking. Maybe they aren't, but that's what happens. But in the Japanese version, there's also a, I don't really want to say mini-game, but there's an interaction where you pet them on the face while they talk to you with binaural ASMR talking. The petting aspect has been removed for the game's North American release. Cultural curiosities have been altered in localizations since as long as games have been translated, and maybe you personally are bummed to be missing out on something different, but for the majority of the North American audience, this is weird. Who greets someone by petting their face? I hope Nintendo will recover from losing the lucrative serial killer market. 2 minor-level professional Counter-Strike teams, DenDD and Pixelfire, have a dubious distinction on their record books, as they now share the longest overtime in professional Counter-Strike. Pro-level Counter-Strike is usually fought with a best-of-3 series comprised of up to 30 rounds of play. First team to 16 victories wins the match. But if they're tied at 15 each, then they play an additional 10 rounds of overtime. If there's still no winner, then another 10 rounds. Then another. DenDD and Pixelfire played 79 rounds before an exhausted winner emerged victorious. And that was just one match of a best-of-3 series. They played match 1 for over 3 hours. It wasn't even very good Counter-Strike by the end of it. Can you imagine how garbage you'd play after 3 straight hours of competitive level gaming? These were not top-level teams. They definitely weren't exciting games at the end. but people couldn't look away from the 79-game match of Counter-Strike. In the end, it was Pixelfire who won, and summarily crushed and exhausted and demoralized NDD in the following match. It's an interesting follow-up, because Pixelfire is the new name of Team Orgless, that we reported on a couple weeks ago, who left their management over allegedly being asked to throw matches. Well, they sure didn't throw this one, though I bet at least a few of them were considering it around the 2-hour mark. Let's see if the Super Bowl goes into its 5th overtime, huh? Wouldn't that be fun to watch, right? Wouldn't that have been cool on the weekend if the Super Bowl... No, that would have been miserable, actually, now that I think about it. Coming up, according to the manual for the HTC Vive, the first step to setting up your living room is to remove every piece of furniture that makes it recognizable as a living room. That was fun. There were some weird stories.